Hey dude bros, welcome back to Heavy Metal Cooking, and today we're going to be making chicken and dumplings in our cast iron Dutch oven. So start off with, man, we got our 5-quart cast iron Dutch oven, and in it we have about a pound chicken breast right there. We're going to sit there and we're going to take this pound chicken breast and put 2 quarts worth of chicken broth over it to cover it. Then we're going to put it on the stove at a medium heat, and we're going to cook it until we need it. 15-20 minutes. It's going to take a bit for the rest of the time. I don't know exactly how long it takes for the chicken breast to fully cook at medium heat on there, but let me tell you, man, this thing's kind of intensive, and so it'll be done by the time we're ready for it. Trust me. Now to make our dumpling dough, I'm going to sit here and we're going to start with some oil. I use canola, you can use vegetable, whatever neutral type oil you like, and you want 1/3 cup of it. I do not suggest olive oil for this. A little too much taste to it. You want more neutral oil. There we got canola oil in it, 1/3 cup. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to add our spices. All you need is a tablespoon of salt, maybe a little less, depending on how you like it. Trust me, that's enough salt. And some baking powder. We want a little bit of rise on our dumplings when they're cooking, just a little bit. And we'll put a tablespoon of this in there. Now if you're using self-rising flour, you can skip this step. Or not, man, it depends on how fluffy you want them to be, man. And then we're going to add 3 cups of all-purpose flour. That's what I use. I don't use the self-rising stuff because I like to add more baking powder to the mix. But you do you. I'm not opposed to self-rising flour. I just don't see the need for it. Some things don't. One of that thing to keep in the pantry, man? Anyway, 3 cups of this. I'm almost out of flour. So I'm almost worried that I won't have enough. But I do. Seems to be I got plenty. Little left over in case I need some. Well, I will need some more for rolling it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick my measuring cup down in my bag of flour. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. Because then, final thing to the dough, 1 cup of buttermilk. There you go. Make sure you shake it up well before you use it, and pop that in there. And now we're going to mix all this stuff up and into a dough ball. And it's going to take a while, I'm just telling you. The more you roll it around in the ball in a dough, the better it gets. It won't break so much. You don't do it enough, it'll break when you're cutting it and rolling it out. So you do it long enough. Also, it helps keeps everything congealed and messed up in there. You don't want it to taste like flour. You want it to taste like everything. So the more you mix it up, the more you do that. I suggest at least 5 minutes. Like I said, man, take some time, a little labor intensive. So here we're putting some flour down on a cutting board. I mean, you can just use your table or whatever if you want, but I use my cutting board. And I'm going to take this dough ball and I'm going to break it into 4 other little dough balls. So I'm going to cut it in half and then cut that half in half. I'm going to take each one of these and I'm going to roll it out pretty far, almost to the size of the cutting board. And then when I'm done, a little bit more on top. Let's just keep it from sticking to stuff. And then once I get it rolled out, I'm going to cut it into small little square type things about the size of a sugar packet. Maybe 1 inch by 1 inch. More rectangular though than square. And that's going to be our dumplings. Now I had somebody tell me that this is more of a noodle thing, a chicken pot pie for some Pennsylvania Dutch people, but since I don't think there's any Amish on YouTube, what y'all talking about? It's chicken and dumplings. Here we go. I got it stretched out pretty well. Gotta roll out like a pie crust thin. You want it pretty thin. It's going to rise up when it hits the water again. Alright, I'm going to take it, I'm going to cut it into my strips like I said. And I'm going to put those strips on this plate. A little bit of flour just keep it from sticking to the... Yeah. Gotta be careful about that. They'll run away on you. They sense the doom is nigh. It's about yay big. You can also do it like that. Helps keep them from sliding off everywhere. There you go. Now I'm going to put a little bit more flour on this plate right here, just to keep it from sticking to each other. Now I'm going to place them on the plate. Didn't cut so well. And I want to repeat this process 3 more times. Each time put just a little bit of flour on it. Keep them from sticking to each other. Roll them out pretty thin. Cut them into strips until you're done. Now if you got a big enough surface, if you want, you can just roll it all out at once, you know. Like I said, if you want to take up the whole table or a big old countertop to do it, by all means, man. Save yourself some time. Do it all at once. But I've only got this little surface to use. Alright, I finished with everything, rolling out all the dough. So now I want to take the chicken breast. It's been sitting here for well, a while now, man. I want to take it out. I want to put it in this bowl and I'm going to let it sit under water, dripping water, until it heats up again. When it cools down, I want to crank the chicken broth up to high and add 2 teaspoons of pepper. Because I like it peppery. Once it boils, we'll start adding our dumplings to it. Alright, now that we got it to a good rolling boil, we're going to go ahead and start putting all these noodles in there. They kind of stick a little bit, even though we put the flour in it. It's going to be a thing. But we want to let it boil like this pretty hard for about 5 minutes. And then we're going to turn it down to a low simmer, cover it, and let it cook for another 20 minutes. Yeah. Stuff sticking together. I should use more flour next time. Make sure that they don't. The more flour you use will also make your dumplings broth thicker. So there's that. Depends on how thick you want your dumpling broth to be. The boiling action of the water though will keep them from sticking to each other as they hit into it. You can also take your wooden spoon and press them on down into the boiling hot water. As you're putting them in there, because just putting them in there will lower the temp of the water. You know, if you're adding something at room temperature to something boiling, it goes down a little bit. Physics, man. You think about it, like physics, chemistry, that's all cooking is. You can just call me a doctor scientist over here. Yeah. So we got all our stuff in there, and now we're going to take our chicken breast that I've been cooling down in some cold water and kind of pull that apart and put it in here as well. Now you gotta watch to make sure it doesn't boil over on you. That is a possibility while it's at this state. But adding the chicken that's being cooled down to where I can hand shred it helps keep that from happening. Another thing you can do is you can put a wooden spoon over top of it and just lay it over there, and that will keep it from boiling over as well, because as the foaming broth hits it, it'll cool it down as it hits the wooden spoon to keep it from boiling over. Trick. Yeah. What it's all about. So we're going to let this sit. We're going to let it boil for a little bit. Alright, so we've got it down to boiling for 5 minutes. Now we're going to turn it down to medium low. We're going to let it sit for about 20 minutes, and then it'll be done. Alright, dude bros. We got our chicken and dumplings done now, sitting here on the table. Let's take the lid off, see what we got. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Open this up. Now it's hot, hot, hot. You may want to wait 5 minutes or so before you eat it. But after that, enjoy, dude. Boom.